Your journey to the unknown begins now. Have your boarding passes ready.
Hello and welcome to the Supernatural Station podcast. I'm your host, Jaron Daniels. I'm with my brother, Roman Daniels. We're the only train ticket to the unknown. How you doing tonight, Rome?
I'm doing awesome. How you doing?
I'm doing super good.
Yeah.
I feel really good. It's Tuesday. Man, I've been waiting for this time frame right now that we're about to do here. What is today? February 3rd. We're ready to talk to somebody that I've had conversations with throughout every social media app you can think of. We've had a lot of different discussions. He's been an advocate for our show. I've been an advocate for his. We have a gentleman that is involved with his own show called Strange Basin. It's a research-driven podcast focused on history, folklore, focused on the unexplained phenomena of the Utah's Uintah Basin, which is something very close to home for us. We're from this area. We really care about this area. We actually have land in Duchesne, so we feel really close to this. He spent more than 30 years researching lost mines. He's been involved in treasure hunting. He's been involved in all kinds of things. He has contacts for people that are involved in this area, and we just have the privilege to meet with him today. So we're excited to talk to you. How you doing tonight, Arnie Gray? And we appreciate you being a part of this. And we met you over at Phenomicon, by the way, and I remember having some discussions with you there. And that's how we've been meeting a lot of different people. But we just appreciate you taking the time, Arnie. And again, he's with Strange Basin Podcast. If you get a chance, check him out on YouTube. How's it going, Arnie?
Excellent. Things have been quite crazy lately, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you and me both. I just keep talking because I'm like losing my mind.
Yeah, no, with Phenomicon coming on right now and the tickets just dropped on sale, it's I really just the numbers and the people reporting things, it seems like the awareness is up. And I think there's a lot to that when people are aware and they become just looking, I guess. If you start looking, you're going to start finding.
Yeah.
And so the amount of reports that I've been given lately about UFOs and UAPs and just anything unexplained have been quite off the hook lately.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like this time in our life is outstanding. We've been into this subject for a long time. Roman and myself, we've been ghost investigating when we were younger. We did a lot of different things. We've had a lot of experiences. But it's weird because the mindset is opened up. I've noticed people are starting to shift and have more excitement about this subject. And it's like you look in the abyss long enough, the abyss looks back. We've heard this a million times.
Yeah.
And so that's why the subject's so fun. And it just there's layers to it,
It really is. And it seems almost you can put a marker on that when people start pushing back, the non-believers or your religious folks, they're like, oh no, it's all hooey. It's on that same marker. I really watch trends. I watch how people react. I watch how people report. I watch how people share. And I've created this safe space where people can come in and share their experiences with me, and it seems like as the activity goes up, so does the pushback. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Oh, 100%. You're a watcher. You're a watcher because you're a historian, by the way, which we've talked about off recording. But he's done some really cool things, and he's looked into a lot of things. And it's true. Like when you start seeing it, there is trends. We're both property managers, and we have to look at a lot of trends in our business, right?
Like our whole
What's
job.
happening? Trends. I'm always hearing trends, but there's truth to it, and I think you're right. I think it's definitely a weird time. I've noticed.
I don't know. I don't think we've had a lot of pushback, but it is. There are people coming out of the woodwork lately that are kind of starting to bash a little bit.
But what would be the
I think
reason?
it's just because we had our recent experience. For our listeners probably know because they follow us, but we think we recently saw a Sasquatch, and that was insane.
What a privilege, man. What a privilege.
Just barely this weekend, so that was like freaking crazy.
Hmm.
And that'll
You're
be
so
for another
lucky.
show.
There's people that
I
go.
watched that and I just like, you're so lucky.
I mean, there's people
I
that
know
go.
that I've walked beside a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I know it. I didn't see him, but there's a feeling, and then there's a knowing, and
Oh yeah.
there's a different part of your body that connects with these types of phenomenon, or creatures, or whatever you want to call it. Even
Hmm.
there's a different part that connects, and when I was walking through this thicket, I knew there was something else there, and I could barely hear it. I could smell something, but I've smelled a lot of musky things out in the hills from time to time. This was different, yeah. And so I just envy the people that actually get to see a Sasquatch.
Well, and it is a privilege. Like I don't look back on it like, oh, and your mind plays tricks on you. Your mind's like,
Yeah, that's
that
what
was
we're going
fake.
through now.
That was a this. That was. It's putting it in a million boxes, and you're like, how? It was 3 times bigger than that human down here fishing. If you placed him over there further away on the mountainside, so there's no
scales is
way
way
that guy
off,
would have been
yeah.
12 to 15 feet tall. Secondly, all black, everything black. And then the way he moved, all the weird things, and of course we're gonna get into this maybe on a separate episode, but I don't want to harp into our side of it too much. But you're right, you feel something.
Well,
when
you're
it, when,
interviewing somebody that interviews, so
yeah. Well, when
Yeah.
you're telling us, you're having us interview now. But it's weird because you feel something different. You're right. You feel like a presence. It's like it's how like if somebody's looking at you over here,
You can
you're
feel
like
it. Yeah.
you look over because it's just something
It's
there,
that weird
and it's
sixth
different
sense.
than like an animal. It's like
and I don't think anybody could deny that either.
Mm-mm.
Like
Yeah.
nobody, like everybody does that. Like, whoa, I feel weird right now. Why?
yeah. So getting back to you, man. I appreciate you saying that. We'll see how it goes. It's definitely weird. I'm still fighting through the memories of it because it's just weird. But now I know why when we interview people, they're like, "What was that?" Um,
and it gives you that perspective of why they get quiet and hard to find those words, because
yeah,
now you've experienced something to where you have that empathy for the people who
yeah.
have
Like it's
experienced.
kind of a joke. It's kind of a lore until you see something. Then you're like, even though you've been researching it for so long, and same thing goes with the Uintah Basin and with all the things you've done. You start like, man, until you actually see something, and sometimes it's not seeing is believing. Sometimes it's research is understanding, and then you
Mhm.
finally you figure it out, and then you're like, boom, it connects. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. It connects.
Oh man, dude, it's Super Bowl Sunday coming up, so that's kind of perfect. Oh man,
Well
I don't
done.
know why I thought of that out of everything.
how did this start for you? That's what I guess that's
Yeah,
where we
let's
should
let's
start
get
it.
into how it all started for you. I know some things from the background, but I know you were 8 years old. Something intense happened to you. Can you go with that and then kind of and get into your story?
Well, I hadn't even thought about this till you'd asked me, like, what was your earliest experience?
Sure.
And I didn't think about it much until you'd asked that. So I'd remembered that I'd seen. Well, I was spending my night, spending the evening with my grandmother, and I spent the night, and that didn't happen very often. And this was in West Valley, Utah, and I woke up and looked out the back window, and there was a large orb in the back window. And then it's all pretty muddled. I was about 8, I mean, and with the reactions when I told my families and what they told me what I'd seen and experienced, that became my reality until I've been really processing it since I shared that with you. And I haven't shared it with anybody. Like, this kind of, like, my partner might be like, why didn't you tell me that? So she's might be mad at me, but it'll be all right.
Shoot, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
So yeah, this might be a little raw because I really am working through it, because the reality became what it is. So I woke up the next morning, and I told my family and my grandma that I'd seen a UFO, and that I saw the people that were there, and they'd taken me, and it wasn't a negative. I just kind of hung out with them in my memory. Yeah. We're going back a long way here. Yeah, 40 years. 40. 4 years. Anyway, no, I totally remember hanging out with little gray aliens, and you know, and I got told it was a dream. I got told that I had a really great dream, and got made fun of for it. And so I believed that until just here recently in the last few weeks. And I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about it lately. But how that ties into what we're talking about is it really kind of shaped this feeling that there is something out there. There's something unexplained. There's something that it is. When the X-Files came out, that was the mantra of I want to believe really became part of me. Like,
Yeah.
like Fox Mulder just wanting to believe. I just grabbed onto that. Like, I really do. I want to believe in this stuff.
Well, and when you saw like stuff like Star Wars, stuff like Star Trek, did you feel like, because I know you sort of mentioned that to me as well, did you feel like a connection, like, whoa, this is it. I remember something from this. Like, did
Right.
it trigger a memory in a way? And then you're like, all right, I'm going to start chasing this a little bit.
No, not really. No, there was no chasing from that. But the sci-fi, I've always been such a sci-fi geek. Star Trek's my number one. I love Star Wars, but Star Trek is like the lore, the history, the whole complexity of the whole worlds and all the different cultures. Really just got into it, and I think it has a lot to do with my experience at
I
that
think
time
so.
at my grandma's house. When I moved out to Vernal in '97, started treasure hunting. But I kept having these experiences while I was out treasure hunting, and of course, there's a lot of woo woo with the treasure hunting and curses and Spanish and Native, and a lot of ancient history that really isn't talked about much without outside of the circles here, and quickly found out I was quite adept at feeling things, being very empathetic towards feelings and things that had happened in the past, and feelings in the past. And I was surrounded by people that said, it's okay, man. It's okay. It's okay. And we kept driving up Dry Fork Canyon to go up to our dig that we were doing up there, to find a whole room full of gold bars and this and that. And I kept, every time we'd go up, I kept seeing this guy standing on the side of the road, just watching me, just watching me, just watching me, and didn't quite understand that. And then I got a really good look at him one time because old Mick was driving slow, and I realized he was an old Spaniard, man, and he wasn't in the armor and things as you see is like a conquistador, but he was just a Spaniard man standing on the side of the road in front of a canyon. Yeah, and I'd see him every time.
Wow. Did he look at you every time?
Yeah, like eye to eye every time we just watch each other.
Was he like a translucent at all, or was he just like a solid figure
No.
like you and me?
Looked like the same man, but the only thing that stuck out weird to me is I'd seen him in the same place multiple times at different times of the day, different times of the week.
Yeah.
And that's what made me
Okay.
say, "You see that guy?" And he's like, "No."
Oh man.
Ooh,
Wow.
damn. That's heavy. And I wonder if did you feel like it was like hey, just respect what you find. Like, what did you feel from that when you saw him? Did you feel some kind of like conversation in your head?
No, not at all, not at all. But after I told Mick about it, then we pulled over and we went back, and he wasn't there anymore. But we hiked up the canyon, and he was standing in front of a little side canyon and found an old diggings there.
Wow.
And I did just leave it, yeah. But it was
Wow.
kind of a confirmation that there's something going on there, and it is old Spanish kind of treasure mining history.
What had you
That's awesome.
That is really cool. What had you get into like Vernal? I know you said you met somebody that brought you up to Vernal and then you moved there in 97. What was it, treasure hunting that was the most exciting at that point, or were you kind of like the back of your mind? Because I know you mentioned to me did you know it was like a charged area already? Or
No.
did you find that out later?
well, there was that was my first experience. Like, wow, there's something different going on here.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Mainly, it was get out of the city. I'd grown up in Magna, Utah, which was in the '80s, very much a small town, and Vernal reminds me very much of Vernal. Vernal reminds me very much of Magna at the time. And then the city just grew up, and I knew I needed to get out, and I found Vernal, and somebody brought me out here and introduced me to Mick Norton, and we got to be famous friends, and we started just pouncing all over the hills out here, just finding out all the history and the old things that are around, and maybe we could find an old gold bar somewhere. And at $5,500 an ounce, I'd sure love to find one now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my parents are doing the lottery every freaking other weekend, and they're like, they have it all planned out. We need $13 million. If we get $13 million, we're going to do this full on,
They want to live
survival.
on like the same land together.
Yeah,
like, in
with the
this
multiple
giant house.
houses.
Like,
Everyone has an Escalade that's bulletproof, and everyone's, oh my goodness, they're going off. It's so funny. No, but it would be awesome though. I hope you find it one day. That'd be sweet because I've always been into the treasure hunting thing. We've actually talked about gold panning at some point, and I mean this area, like, it's the Old West. The Old West is something different. Like, it gives you this, like, the reason we all came here originally. Well, we've lived here our whole life, but the reason people come here is because they were looking for that. That was where it started.
See, the coolest thing I ever found was an arrowhead, this old archaic arrowhead that was here
I know.
in,
I was so
West
jealous
Jordan,
with that too.
or South Jordan. It was along the riverbed, and actually
South Jordan. Wow.
Yeah, and it was just right along the riverbed, like it was probably traveling down the river for a while. But yeah, I posted all on all these archaeological artifact pages, and all these
They
people were like,
predated
yeah,
it,
that's
right?
that's like an archaic style. They had the name for it and everything. I've got it somewhere. It's in a box, but that's about the coolest thing I've ever found. So
Well, I'd love to see that.
yeah, I'll share it with you on Facebook or something.
And with that, I know you fell in love with the land. It sounds like it felt like home. You started hanging out here. You got to know the land. You started really adventuring. With that and doing this is one of my conversations I was going to ask you about, is while you were doing treasure hunting, did you notice anything strange? Can you allude to more of that? I know you just talked about the Spaniard, but did you see any like UFO related incidents? Did you have any haunting, like kind of ghostly situations that happened? Can you allude to anything that maybe stands out to
Same time period. I said we were going up Dry Fork to do a dig, and sorry, I'm reliving it there for a second. I'd kind of helped decide where to dig, and what we were after was kind of an underground network of tombs and caches and records that were all involved there. Some pretty high tech thermography and infrared photography was done to figure out where to dig, and we done all that. So we ended up on a ridge right above what I believe was the Mine of the Lost Souls to dig into this network of an underground city. And I kind of mentioned I'd realized how kind of sensitive I am to these things, and so I could kind of map it out in my mind and in my feelings, and that kind of knew everything that was going to happen as we were digging. And we ended up really deep and using dynamite, all sorts of things, and it was all legal. I mean, just say that we had a claim, and we had a guy on Overwatch. It was just kind of making sure we were all safe and nobody's going to come over and try to jump that. I don't know if you've been around many treasure hunters. They're pretty paranoid. Is the good word for that.
It makes sense, yeah.
And he was an old Marine sniper, and he was watching. But I'd come out of the mine from time to time, and I kept seeing these shadows or flashes of people with red shirts or red shoulders. And I kept seeing them, and it felt a lot like the Spaniard that I mentioned earlier. And So I just kind of was aware of it. One night we're sitting around the camp after we were done. We were eating our dinner, and I said to my partner there, I says, "Hey, see those guys in those red shirts that just kind of off in the trees?" This is the guy that was the Overwatch. And the snake says, "Yeah, I've been seeing him." And he says, "Who are they?" And he says, "They're the old protectors and they're the old watchers." So what does that mean? Yeah. He says, "No, they're not here. But they're here. But they're here watching us and making sure that we've got the right intentions. We've got the right respect for what we're doing. And the second we don't, we won't be here anymore." I asked about the red shoulders because they all have red shoulders.
Sure.
And I'd made that out to be like red shirts, but he says, no, those are the warriors, and they painted themselves red to make themselves seen.
Ooh.
And he says, "Let's not talk about that anymore. Just be aware that they're there and they're watching." That was kind of my first experience with the Watchers. If you follow my posts or anything, I mention the Watchers a lot, but I don't talk a lot about them. They're there. They're here, and they're watching what we do.
Are they all over the basin, like just all over the place, or is it kind of isolated to certain areas?
I can't answer that intelligently.
Yeah.
I've experienced them in very many places, but they're all special places to me, and special places in history. So I think a good way to look at that is they are everywhere, here in the basin at least.
You don't
Yeah.
bring them up as often, and I'm assuming this is why. And I'm just saying this out of respect anyway. So if there is like a intention, if there's spiritual stuff going on, which there is always around us, it makes sense. I'm assuming that's why you don't want to stir anything or show them that there's some weird misdirection in your mindset, right?
Yeah,
To try to cause any. Because I mean, you want to be one with the land. Like that's what we do. Like as you know, me and Roman are part Hopi, so we understand. Like you want to be a part of the land. Like I'm always about respecting wherever we go. As best.
Yeah,
we
I was listening to your episode with Geo, with our buddy Geo, and he had mentioned, and the first time I ever heard it was the ghost dance.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he would do that to kind of like honor the whatever's there, spirits
It
and
was the
stuff,
fallen and
sort of
stuff. I
just
heard
like
about that.
do the dance, which is like a symbol for like honoring the earth and honoring the oneness that we all are, and all this kind of
I
stuff.
wish I
That was
I wish I
interesting.
could have got a little more clear with him on
Yeah.
the stance there.
But that was pretty cool. I'm gonna ask him about it later, and we'll have to share about it. But I was like, that was
just ghost dance episode would be cool.
yeah. I almost want to
in,
do it
in the
now
episode with him, we bounced from Skinwalker to Mount Wilson Ranch to we bounced everywhere so fast. It was tough to keep up.
I'd actually love to talk to you a little bit about what you know about some of the stories with the Robert Bigelow days and everything of Skinwalker Ranch and all that, and just that area over there. I know there's other ranches that have some of the same activity. Like that whole area is charged. We know
It's not just that ranch for sure.
Yeah.
We're 41 miles away where our land is, and we've had some crazy stuff happen over there.
Yeah. What stories could you tell us on our podcast about that stuff out there?
I say it all the time that the phenomenon doesn't know boundaries, and it's not contained to 512 acres. It really doesn't. I do a lot of research on history and things that could have caused this, other than the curse of the Navajo.
Sure.
Because it's such a simple explanation of something that is very deep and very complicated, very ancient, and very, very spiritual even.
Mm-hmm.
And we've called it Skinwalker Ranch for long time before the show. Always been kind of aware of it and stuck around those areas before, and been asked to leave once or twice even. I don't have any experiences like Ryan Skinner or Ryan Burns or the two of them together, kind of adventures they got in concerning Skinwalker. But the thing that's been interesting to me is when I started doing the research, I think a lot of it has to do with Bottle Hollow. And if you're familiar with the area at all, Bottle Hollow sits 2 ridges above Skinwalker Ranch. You've got Skinwalker Ridge, or the Mesa, as they like to call it, and then one more up above that, you got Bottle Hollow, and that's it's a reservoir there that got its name because the soldiers would go over. Wow, we're going into a lot of history here.
We love it. We love it. Yeah. Don't change.
Here we go. So there was a section when they finally surveyed out here that didn't get surveyed. And so it became kind of this lawless area because nobody from Uintah County or Duchesne County had any jurisdiction. It was just unsurveyed land, and it was in a long, narrow strip. And so it got the name as a strip. So what happens when there's no law? You end up with bars and brothels and saloons.
Lawlessness. Yeah.
Because in a highly religious area, if there's a place where the law or the religion can't shut it down, they're going to go there. A lot of rumors of Butch Cassidy spent a lot of time on the strip because there again, if you can run away and get onto the strip, they can't come in.
You can't get there. You're free. Yeah. Wow.
So when Fort Duchesne was formed, I can't think of the year right off. They brought out a bunch of buffalo soldiers, and the buffalo soldiers were named because the natives recognized them as being fierce and curly haired and dark and they had the same nature as the buffalo, so they named them the Buffalo Soldiers. And so we had a whole regiment of men that were either slaves or sons of slaves, brought out to the Uintah Basin. Sorry, I get a little emotional on this.
That is tough. Take your time. Yeah.
Brought out to the Uintah Basin to force a people into a land that they didn't want to be on. And I think there's a lot of emotion to that. I think there's a lot of deep, I don't even know the words for it. Like, I cannot put myself into a place of being a slave or a son of a slave.
It's like soul of bitterness of the soul. Like, how do you even process that?
And then to take a job in the military and then be sent out to the Uintah Basin to make sure that this culture stays where they don't want to be. And they're taken off of their lands and put with many other tribes, many other bands, many other people that may or may not have got along, and forced to be one. And so there's a lot of energy to that.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about energy because that's what they were sent here to do. And so they had to be in some sort of conflict. They had to have felt very deeply about what they were ordered to do. And as a freed man, there's not a lot of options in that time. And so what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
So these men would ride out from Fort Duchesne and they'd ride over to the strip, and they would get their drink and they would do what it is that they do at the strip. and then as they were coming back to Fort Duchesne, they would throw their empty bottles in this ravine or a hollow. We don't use hollow out here much either, which is, I haven't really keyed in on how Bottle Hollow got its name. There's the only hollow. I've been back east. I've been to West Virginia. I've been in those areas, and every place is a hollow. Yeah.
Is it the same as a holler?
Yeah.
It's the same word, right?
Yeah.
It's a ditch, y'all. It's a ditch.
It's a ditch. Yeah.
Holler.
It's a holler. Bottle holler. It's probably how it was said at the time. But they would throw all their empty bottles, so that they were not carrying when they got back to back to the fort. And that's how Bottle Hollow got its name. So
that makes sense.
And then in the 70s, the U.S. government wanted to make reparations for taking, well, let me back up one more. So Abraham Lincoln signed an executive order over to reserve all of this land that I'm living on now in the Uintah Valley to the reservation. So all of this was a reservation at one time. All of Strange Basin, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then through squatting and settling and then soon to be legal rights and taking back anything that wasn't being used and everything, we've ended up with this really super checkerboarded reservation, non-reservation land out here.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because one minute you'll be on a reservation and one minute you're not. And that's why, because it was all reservation at one time. And then it was just chunked out and given away, taken away. And it's still happening today with Tabby Mountain.
Yeah.
So, wow, I really
That's all right.
It's good history.
help me where was I?
So
Well,
okay,
it
so originally the
definitely
question
helps.
was how it connects to like Skinwalker Ranch with Bigelow being involved,
Mhm.
and
I
like
remember.
Yeah. But that was good history though, because there is even more depth.
I don't think
guys.
a lot of people know
There's
that.
more like spiritual, like think about how heavy that was. I felt it too.
I know, me too.
I felt you coming in, and I don't know how to describe that unless you're like a feeler, which I am, but like I felt it, bro. Like I kind of felt like what you were saying. So yeah, I think when something traumatic happens, it's just energy. And energy doesn't go away, as we know with science, right? That's what I love about science. Science proves supernatural. Supernatural proves science. And they always fight each other, but there's truth to both, and they both make sense together. And
Well,
so,
get real ballsy and throw in religion too, because they all prove each other.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more to the story, and we just found out a little bit. So if you listen, this is a good episode, guys, for where we're at.
I remember right where I was at now.
Yeah.
So in the 70s, they decided to make reparations for taking away all of the fishing and hunting, because that's what the natives wanted to hold on to more than anything, was their hunting and their fishing grounds.
Sure.
And water. And that was, of course, the first thing that got took away. So the federal government decided to come in. We're going to build you a reservoir, and we're going to fill it up, and then you can have some fishing, and you'll have some canals, and you can do the farming that we've tried to teach you. And I say tried because that was the mentality, not the way I feel. And they did. They built Bottle Hollow, and it's a beautiful reservoir. And then on top of that, the federal government built a resort there. They built a campground, they built a resort, and then they built a convention center in the 70s. And as you come through Bottle Hollow now, you'll see the big sculpture with that's there, and that kind of teepee-shaped building. That's the only one that's left from it. They spent 2 years training him how to run a resort and a convention center and things like that, and it was very successful for a little while, and then just walked away. So there you go, and that's all that's left now. So you get these repeated times, and I think a lot of everything has to do with water and manipulation of water and land, and I'll remind you, just 2 ridges down is Skinwalker Ranch from Bottle Hollow. And so you get all this activity and then nothing, and all this activity and nothing, and flooding the ground and changing the water and making canals. I think that has a lot to do with pre-Bigelow time of what charged the land and what kind of memories and emotions were put on the land and kept there. And the land remembers, and that I know without a doubt. And then we come in Bigelow, because somehow, and I need to know more, Christopher Bartell is going to be on my show shortly. He was a security guard during the Bigelow era, because I want to know more about the Bigelow Hour myself.
Ring him out for all he's got. Just
Yeah, yeah,
Was
yeah.
he there when you probably don't even know yet because you haven't talked to him, but I wonder if he was there when that entity crawled out of a portal supposedly and
yeah,
all
you've heard about
like
that.
even the security I guess watched it happen. I wonder if he was one of those guys. That'd be crazy.
That'd be nuts.
That's one of those things
Be-
that like one of those stories that always just rings with me is that one, and then of course the Shermans when they shot the
big black wolf.
you know,
Yeah,
with the little piece of meat that flew off and was decayed instantly and all that. Just weird
so
stuff.
weird.
Yeah.
Do you think he was part of that though? When the portal opened up, do you know?
I don't know that for sure to say, but I will find out.
Yeah, you'll have to ask him.
Let us know.
And then what's so crazy? I just spent a day with a person there that lives adjacent to the ranch, and they've had like no experiences. Like it's been my mindset for the last few weeks is how people in the same area, same thing, can see things and have things experience over and over and over again. Like Sean Jocelyn, like he's just always sending me stuff like, "Hey, look what I just saw! Whoa, well, here's more."
Yeah.
And he's right there. And then I spent the day with somebody, and they're like, "I don't not believe it. I just haven't seen it, and I've been here my whole life."
I just think that points to people's observational talents or you know just how they actually see the world because there's people that like ride a subway, the same subway, two different people, and they ride the same stops or whatever, let's say in New York or whatever, and like you probably could ask those two people and they'll both say that they've seen different things or they'll observe different things. And sometimes they repeat things like that they both have seen, but then there's other times where like one guy will be like, I never saw what this other guy saw.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
every
and they've been riding
experience
it the whole time.
yeah, every experience we've had, there was other people around,
It's like if you want to see it, you
and
see
they
it.
they didn't notice it, but we noticed it, and then we're like, are we crazy as hell or what?
Yeah.
And you feel
I
that
was
way.
on Space Wolf Research and with Heidi Gad. I don't know. She big experiencer and Eric. And we're sitting there talking face to face. And I see this blinding light, almost like a headlight just got turned on in the sky above me. And I got whoa.
Like it
And-
made you
and-
jump back a little bit.
Yeah. And I said, Heidi, look. And it was gone and she didn't see it, but it like took me back. And, so even she, who has an experience, her full believer and is always investigating, amazing person.
Yeah, we met Heidi, didn't we?
Yeah.
We met Heidi out
So,
there. She's really cool.
like how did she not see it? But I saw it. And,
Yeah, you'd think she would.
And to me, it was blinding. It was like somebody turned on a headlight about 15 feet away from my head, but way up in the sky. Without the light, though, that's kind of what's weird. Is it didn't shine light, like a flashlight or a headlight, but it was that bright. It shocked me. And then it was gone, and she did not experience that. Why did I get to? Why didn't she get to? These are the questions that I ask.
And it's weird. And maybe we'll ask it forever. I don't know. It's weird because I feel the same way. I'm like, why does things happen to certain people and the others are right there in front of them and they don't see it? And that's the thing. Like, even for me and Roman, like we went to, just so you could get some context, or maybe you've seen something like this too, but we were right outside the gate of Skinwalker Ranch and we were like, oh, this is when we were like huge fans, and we're still fans, but we were like, we didn't do a podcast yet. We were still really new into all this stuff. And we were just into it. And I remember we get to the freaking gate where the cameras are, and it's like no trespassing. And if you take one more step, all this stuff. And we're like, oh, dang. But we were seeing like all those like people with the houses right there that were utes and different things. We're like, this is cool. It's a charged area. You can feel something. And I remember when we pulled up, my radio started acting weird. It was doing some weird stuff. Remember that?
Yeah.
I had a little Honda Civic 2015. It was like doing some weird stuff with the radio. Now I can chalk it up to a little bit the fact that it had some audio issues already. It ran into some things a little bit here and there. But this was just different. And then we get outside, and as we get outside, we look down, and there was scat right there that was like really good size, like animal scat, and it had a bunch of hair in it. And we're like, this has got to be like a
predator scat,
a wolf or a cougar, like it's predator.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like a cat or something like that, or a wolf. I don't know, one of the two. And we were just like super blown away. And there was a bunch of it. It wasn't just one pile. There was like 3 or 4 piles of it right there. And we're like, okay, this is a weird.
Dude, and then there was that weird grasshopper thing.
But look, normal people would pull up right there and be like, "That's normal stuff."
I'm just gonna
They
leave
wouldn't
that,
even
and
think
people are gonna
about
be
it.
like, "What's the
Exactly.
grasshopper?" No, they're
Well,
gonna.
there's a cool story though.
But maybe it's perception too. Maybe it's like, you're open to it, some of these things. I don't know, but that is interesting thought for sure.
But then there's things like this that really just can't be unexplained, right?
Mhm.
I'd met a couple of people from out of town because the person that owns the antique store up the store says, "Hey, these people are asking about weird paranormal things," and I just thought you might want to come down and talk to them. So I went down there and I talked to him and I gave him directions to the Skinwalker Ranch entrance.
Sure.
And we talked for quite a while. They were really cool people. I can't remember where they're from. And at the antique store, they brought in a broken clock, an antique clock, and it was broken. Like it's on the tag, broken. And they bought that, and I didn't think much of it. But I got a message from them later and says, "Hey, we went out to the gate of Skinwalker Ranch, and we got out. And about the time we got out, we had this really weird feeling. And then the alarm clock started chiming, like the antique clock had started making its alarm." I'm like, "What?" like, and then there's things you can not. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
how do you
can't miss it?
how do you answer
Miss
that?
it. Yeah, and you couldn't miss it. So that was there for whoever was around, and nobody would have missed that. Whereas Heidi missed the big giant light above my head. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to ask you this, like, okay, let's just assume both of us, because we have a lot of knowledge, us three, have some knowledge of this area. But let's just say they're not from Utah. They've never heard about this. They've never even watched Skinwalker Ranch. What do you say would be like the main things that you can expect for people who aren't familiar? What kind of activity do you think would be a standard that people would expect in the Uintah Basin, especially if they're like nonchalant? They're not doing what they should be doing in this area. Like maybe they're being disrespectful. They're starting a fire in a weird place, whatever. What are some things that you think that they might potentially experience, um, and what do you think it is in general? Just the whole area. Do you think it's all old nature, or do you think there's like alien related stuff, other things that you could get into?
Um, that came right to my mind when you said it. The main thought would be, this is different. This
Just different.
place is different. This feels different. This looks different. Never been anywhere like this. However you want to phrase that same feeling,
Mm-hmm.
this is different. This feels different. And for lack of a better word, there's a reverence that people feel here. Like, I need to speak quietly when I go here. I need to act differently when I go to this place. There's many places that locals here won't go. That just don't, and we don't talk about it either. And I
Mm-hmm.
won't hear either as well. There are many places that people just don't go, and couldn't give you a good explanation or reason why. And that would be the most common response to the Uintah Basin here.
Yeah, you just feel off. It's just yeah.
And I relay that back to what I will talk a lot, except for with you, I guess, is the watchers.
Yeah.
There are watchers here, and I don't know if it's Fremont or pre-Fremont or supernatural or kind of one of my favorite theories that I play with in my head. It is the Fremont that when they disappeared and left, they just kind of maybe just changed dimensions. I don't know.
Can you
But
can you get
I
in?
think that would be a lot of the reason why that feeling is different here.
Yeah. Can you get into for people that don't know as well, can you get into what the Fremont is? Like just a quick synopsis of that?
Um, book wise, about 300 to 800 BCE, there was a culture here that predated the Ute and the Paiute and the Shoshones that were in this area, and so they would be their ancestors. They lived in this area. They're responsible for the majority of the petroglyphs that are here. A lot of the pit houses and any artifacts that we find that are native here are generally Fremont Indians, and they lived here a lot longer. And there's a lot of theories that there might be even more ancient cultures than that. I'm not stuck on those ages that are given in the books for the Fremont, being those that time period. But science is science, and I don't argue that. I just think that there's more to it that has yet to be discovered or documented. But they disappeared a lot like the Anasazi did, and the Anasazi is a lot more celebrated or known or talked about, being a culture that we don't know where they went. We don't know where they ended up. I think they ended up as Hopis.
Yeah. That's what we were going to say. I was just about to say that. I'm sure you were too.
They got a lot of charge.
And they were all connected to like the star maps and everything too, kind of traveling based on the stars. And when you look at those old petroglyphs up there in the Vernal area, you really can't argue some of the things that they're drawing look like aliens. They look like UFOs. They look like whatever they're dealing with is non-humans, back then.
The McConkey Ranch, you can check those out. There's a lot of stuff out there that looks like that.
Which is pretty cool. Like, you wouldn't draw it unless, I mean, it could be a religious depiction of some sort, but at the same time, like, they're also drawing like hunting and things that they were actually doing. So it's like maybe this was like real meetings with non-humans,
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like because we haven't really got into like the aliens. We talked about aliens when you were younger, but what do you think the connection? Why is Skinwalker Ranch catching floating orbs like 500 feet up in the sky and doing weird moves, and then like going into the mesa and all this? Where's the connection with aliens and Native Americans? And we always ask that question. Like, it's always been a thing, right? But do you think there's question. And why? Like, what is your thoughts on all that? Why are they still hanging around this area? Is it the chargedness of a battery, like how you talked about with the water? It makes me wonder, because there's water, there's quartz, there's all this stuff.
There's also lots of oil too.
And oil. It's a pretty heavy battery right there, and some other cool resources. Maybe that's it. But what else do you think it could, or do you think that is what it is?
I'm not convinced that it's extraterrestrial. I really think it's energy, it's orbs, it's vortexes, it's more terrestrial than it is extraterrestrial. I did find a newspaper article from the 50s where they saw a saucer shape, a whole survey crew had seen a saucer shape, and it hovered above them for a long time. But most of the reports, most of the reports are orb-like. They're energy-like. They're not craft shaped. They're not crafts per se. Even it's more energy. It's lights. It's orbs. I mean, that's what we call them now. So we'll just go with that. The old miners used to talk about just lights at the edge of the canyon rim, or down the canyon just a little bit down south of here. There were a lot of reports of orbs or lights. Even I really don't think there's a whole lot of extraterrestrial here. I really think it's all energy based, portal based. That's what I really like when Skinwalker talks about portals and things coming in and out of dimensions, and then that ties back to the Watcher theories that I've been talking about.
What do you make of the canyons just glimmering, like you could in the pitch dark? Because we've seen it actually with our own eyes. You'll be hanging out in the area we camp in, 41 miles from Skinwalker Ranch, where the crow flies. And we're like, we look up at the canyon, the mesa right there. It's a flat top mesa. And at night, it's shining.
It looks like there's a light. Like there's lighting it from within somehow.
It's so weird. What do you make of that?
And then you look for the moonlight, or you look for the moon, and then you don't see the moon, right?
Exactly.
It's not from the moon. Yeah, you're like, what the heck's going on here? I've never seen that except for in this area.
Yeah.
Charged energy. Just this. I'm sorry, but I'll get a woo-woo here. But this place is special, man. It just It does. It glows. It has an aura. It has a life of its own.
Mhm.
It has a full record of memory. This land does, and we have yet to know how to access it. We have yet to be able to read it or listen to it. Would be the best answer for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, actually, and having Phenomicon out there and getting so many people that have had experiences with weirdness and having, you know, open minds and stuff, like it's got to be bringing even more of that energy out there.
I agree.
Have you ever question for you? Have you ever, because you're kind of the historian, have you ever come across an article? And I don't have my phone in front of me, or else I'd look it up while we're talking. But there was an article I think in like the 1800s or early 1900s in the Skinwalker Ranch area of some people that witnessed a lizard type man. It was actually like a newspaper article.
Well, you're gonna have to send that to me. I don't know anything
Yeah,
about
Okay.
we
that.
should find it. And
Yeah,
send
I'll,
it to
I'll
us,
find it. My wife
'cause I
actually
remember
found it, and I
that.
was like, dude, that's crazy. And it was that
That's
same area.
that's exactly what I do right there.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'll find it. Once I do, we'll share it on the show and stuff too.
Yeah.
Do
But
you
yeah,
think
no.
do you think that people are quieter about what they see? So here's the thing. I just want to ask your thoughts on this because I did post the thing we saw to the BFRO. I normally don't do that kind of thing, but I'm like, I'm gonna just, it needs to be said. And obviously, I'm a believer, so it was easy for me to share that with somebody to investigate it more. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I don't like that idea in a way because I'm like, crap. Maybe they're gonna just, everyone's gonna sit there and sniff around over there. I don't know if I like that either. But
Just send it to me. That'll be good.
yeah, but do you think people are experiencing more than they even say? Do you think there's a lot of like people that are in those areas? Do you think they're not really given on purpose information? Because I've talked to a few locals. There was one local, I won't give you too much info on who he is, but he was a predominant figure in Duchesne County, and he told me this in confidence, just randomly. We were just having a conversation. And he said, "Oh, I was driving with my wife. Boom. It was a Sunday. We were just having a good time, just driving down the normal two-way road. I see this weird guy standing in the middle of the road, like you said with your Spaniard guy, but he had like white and black on. It was white and black with stripes, and then there was this weird, really spiky black thing off the top of his head, very spiky, like 16 to 20 spike spokes." And he was like, "I don't know what that's all about." And as he was like, so it caught his attention. And this thing's just standing straight without it moving at all, just like almost like a hitchhiker, but without putting his thumb out. And he's like, "What the heck?" And so he like, predominant figure, by the way. I don't want to give too much away, but he's up there. It wouldn't make sense for somebody to say this. He turns around. His wife's like, "What was that?" And they both saw it. They turn around. As they turn around to drive right next to it, it was gone within a few seconds of him turning around because they were going to go talk to it and see if it was like somebody like needing a ride because it was in the weird part of the wilderness where there'd
And
be
that's what
no.
we do out here.
Yeah. And so and he just told me that in confidence.
Didn't he also say it had like a ninja like
Yeah,
vibe to it?
he called it the what did he call it? The
The
ninja
Ninjan or something.
Ninjin. He called it the
Ninja.
Ninjin because he
Ninja.
said it looked like a Native American kind of in the outfit, but it was like very black and white, very like skinny and like just moved like it could move at it. If it did move, it would have moved really fast.
Like a ninja.
He could just feel it felt like a ninja.
Yeah.
He's like, so I called it the Ninjin for years, and he's like, and I've only told a few family members this. And I'm like, so I wonder how many people are actually seeing stuff like this and not saying it, especially if they're in predominant, roles in society, like a police officer, like a firefighter, like a whatever, people like that, mayor or whatever it is. Isn't that weird? Do you think people are being more
No,
sensitive?
because I'm one of those guys.
Yeah,
So I've kept all this stuff to be in my circle for so long.
yeah,
It was the shows that made me realize the secret's out, and I want to have our own, or help to have our own voice, and tell our stories the way that we know them, because they're being mistold and they're being misrepresented
yeah.
to what our actual history is. And so I made the choice to stand up and speak. Prior to that, no, I wasn't ever going to do anything like this. This was ours. It was ours personally. Whether or not you see it when you out there, you feel it. And so even when I get the deniers that are so adamantly denying this stuff on my social media, I kind of document that as proof to me, because you don't fight against something so hard unless there's a reason, you know. And so we are pretty close knit out here. We don't talk about it, and generally we don't like all the attention and the fame that we're getting. And very much until last year, I was one of those people. Until I took the stand to say, I want our stories told in our voice.
Sure.
And let our local people speak. And so that's what I'm doing.
What kinds of things are sort of being misrepresented? Like, if you could correct some of it right now on our show, is there anything you can think of that just bothers you, irks you too
Set
far?
the record straight, Arnie.
All right. Here's a good one. The oil field exists out here. Like,
It does.
You do not see the oil field on certain shows. They're surrounded by oil field. There's just last year there was a pipeline put through their 512 acres. We don't talk about the oil field, and one of the things that's really upsetting is, like, some of the phenomena is the flare stacks that are behind the mesa going off. That, you know, because they burn off the excess gas as it's coming out of the wells, so it doesn't build up and become explosive.
Yeah, and it burns different colors too.
It is, and that's some of the phenomena that you see on the show. These are the reasons why I decided to stand up and speak. It's like, I don't want to debunk the show, because there is something there. I truly believe it. There's so much history. There's so much emotion. There's so much disturbing going on. But when they say things like "don't dig," that's all they're doing around there. You know, it's like, it's frustrating and it's hard, because oil field is so much a part of the Uintah Basin, and that's who we are. I was a driller. I was a directional driller, and to have it be completely ignored as part of the phenomena and part of the data, it gets a little passionate for me, as you can tell. And I just did a whole little snippet on the drilling that's going on top of the mesa, right next to borehole 1 and borehole 2, that they would like to completely ignore. And
I saw that video you posted about it. Yeah.
Why not have it be part of the data? You know, why aren't they there right now watching what's happening?
It should be.
Yeah, it just feels like they're swaying it a little bit. That's the thing. You want to, like, include everything that exists, or else you're
especially
coaxing.
while you're saying all the data matters.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
it's
you
crazy
can't
too,
ignore this whole part of it and fight against it.
That whole area was just like a big dinosaur area too, and like I guess that's maybe where a lot of the oil comes from, supposedly.
So I guess the last question I wanted to ask you, that's, I think, pretty pertinent to the area, and a lot of people are seeing this out there, and it's weird to me. And the reason it's weird to me, it's the same reason it's weird to me and Roman why we saw what we saw, where we saw it. What is the connection with Bigfoot in the area? Because here's the thing. You go into the mesa, you're in this area. I've camped there so many times in the summer. There's no life out there except for a few rabbits, a few lizards. There might be the occasional, like, haggard deer that, like, forgot to go where the water went. There's areas where there's water, but, like, it's just very dry. It's very deserty. And it's like, why would a big hairy creature be there? But yet there's sightings. And then there's Ashley National Forest, where there's places up in that area where it is foresty and a different terrain. It changes really fast. But what's your thoughts on Bigfoot in the area, and why do you think they're in the area? Do you think it's the Native American connection? Can you give us any information on what your thoughts are? Because we started talking about Bigfoot, we might as well end talking about Bigfoot.
I am not the Bigfoot expert. I really, it's more of the, I want to believe, you know. I know that I've walked next to him, but I don't know much. My gut, true feeling, because we've talked about portals, we've talked about beings being able to walk in and out of them, and I think they are that. I think they are another version of a watcher. I truly believe that. And I believe that they can be where they are. They aren't like a deer where they are relying on the land as much. I think they can come and go as they want, and that's why they're so elusive. Um, there's a lot more water out here than you think. One of the joys of the high desert is you can be in desolate, like I could never survive here, and then walk over a ridge and find a pool and life and water, and I love it here. I love exploring here.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's my takeaway on all the research and everything that I've been doing here, and the experience that I've had with probably Bigfoot is that they are a portal. They are interdimensional, and they go where they're needed to be, watching and protecting.
It's getting harder and harder to deny that the longer I'm looking into this subject, because
Yeah.
and we should just assume it's flesh and blood, right? That's what you should do, and start there, start with the science side of it. But you're right, like it's just so weird. There's too many weird things. Like Wes always says on the Sasquatch Chronicles show, he's always like, "Look, I want to believe it, but there's too many other weird things going on here." And we're a prime example. We're going to be on some other shows here soon, telling our story because it just blew us away too. But it's like that same thing, like came out of nowhere. Why? Like everyone else was in the area. Like there was deer right next to it. Like it's just, yeah. And we were doing like a ghost investigation at the same time, and we caught some really cool, intelligent responses from people that there was a girl that drowned in the river, in that area. Her name was Emma, and we caught her on audio saying Emma. She said she didn't tell me she was 6 years old, but she told me in my mind, and I said, I think this girl was 6 years old. And then like we came back down the hill and we asked the spirit talker thing again, and then she said, I'm 6 years old. And we're like, there you go. So like I felt it. She said it in my mind, then it said it on audio. And then later when we got back to the truck is when we saw what we saw. So I'm like, it's just weird, It's like it's not fully physical. There's definitely a physical aspect, but that's I think where people are getting it wrong. But
Well,
maybe we're wrong. I don't know.
Well,
It's
and it
just a
goes
weird
back
thing,
to
right?
it
And
goes
I'm
back to what you
okay
were
with
saying,
being
Arnie.
wrong.
I'm okay with it too.
Yeah, no, we always
Yeah.
say we're happy to be just proven wrong if someone has better info or whatever proof on it. But yeah, like what you were saying about like the lights and stuff and the little orbs and everything, like those things are described in ghost hunting because I've seen them with my
Mhm.
physical eye. We've caught them on camera. Then they're described around Bigfoot all the
Mhm.
time. They're described around UFO activity. They're
Yep.
described around these charged lands like this, in front of mine shafts, like you said. We did a show on Schofield, the mine disaster, and they talk about the lights there floating around, and the
Schofield's
miners would see
awesome.
them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a great
so
place.
like, there's something really to that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with you on that for now until I'm proven wrong. But
Mhm.
there is definitely something more spiritual going on there with these things. They can kind of come and go, and our experience kind of proved that too. It's weird.
Well,
I
So
think
maybe
they're
we
a
can have you
watcher. Like,
let's have you come hang out with us. We'll go back to that area and check it out. That'd
yeah,
be awesome.
check out your land there. That
Might as well.
camping with you.
that'd be fun.
Well, is there anything that you would like to discuss that we haven't talked about? I know we talked about the charged areas. We've talked about the history a little bit. We talked about a lot of different things. Maybe some things are getting wrong on shows and different things in the area. Is there something let me ask you two things. Something you want to add to the story here, to heighten the location, to heighten the experience of the show? And also lastly, what is your like the goal? I think I know it because we kind of talked about it a little bit, but what is your
I think
goal?
I really just stated that very
Yeah, is
strongly.
it just to preserve the truth, right?
Not even the truth, just our history.
Yeah.
And history is rarely the truth, but to preserve those memories. I'm old enough now that I've seen people pass, and I wish I had all the knowledge that they passed with.
Yeah.
And what a great opportunity we have! Like the amount of history that I've shared with you guys, it can now be referred to 50 years ago or 100 years ago. There was this guy talking about that article in 1950 about saucers in the sky. You know, and I'd like to do it better. I'd like to do it better and be well balanced with it, and not be so biased as our history has been. Um, just read a book called "The Depravities of the Indians of Utah."
Mm.
And what an amazing firsthand source of our history. It was written in 1919. Um, firsthand experiences, with the natives and that big changing time of 1865 to 1906, um, when the natives were being pressed into the Ore reservation here, Uintah Ore reservation, and how biased it was, and it was so hard to read with just the amount of racism. There's no better word.
Yeah.
So I'd like to preserve history better than that, and research his in a way that is just biased and saying this is what's happened and this is compared to this and this might mean this because these things matter and the trends matter and the living history of our memory is important, and what an opportunity we have to be able to preserve that in such a dynamic way. That's my last thought there.
A good thought.
Awesome.
I mean, what was the book called one more time that you just read?
The Depravities of the Indians of Utah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check it out because I'm definitely into the whole Native American.
Yeah.
What happened to them? I mean, we don't want to repeat history, but we always do, and that's the sad part and the scary part. And just
Now,
pushing people away from the land that they knew is just crazy. But so all respect to Native Americans out there, the indigenous people everywhere, and all the things that they had to go through is unbearable, and I don't even know what else to say about it, but. All respect and all love to the fact that we're able to at least spend time in these areas, though, and get to know it like you have been with Vernal, with Duchesne. If you guys don't know these areas and you're from out of country, out of state, come to Phenomicon this year. We'd love to see you over there. It's in Vernal, Utah. They have a convention there. It's called Phenomicon for a reason, and if you're from Ohio, say Phenomicon.
And man, you
But
know what? It's not just some
Phenomicon.
it's not just some dumb UFO convention, because sometimes you hear these really goofy conventions and stuff.
There you go. He's got the
There you
alien
go.
lenses on.
This
I love it.
This Phenomicon
yeah,
thing is
this
so
is my
cool.
swag bag at the Phenomicon.
So he got it from Phenomicon, which is cool.
You can get goofy alien stuff like that. Oh, I love that. Those are cool. But no, what's cool about this convention? So anybody who's interested, it really is different than just the typical UFO convention. It's like all encompassing. You can see the people from Skinwalker Ranch, people from Blind Frog. There's all this cool opportunity to talk to people, and it seems like that's what's so cool about it is it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
You can get to know some of these people and get to know
Yeah. I mean, we talked to Cliff
situation.
Barrickman, which is
Yeah.
a animal, flesh and blood, Bigfoot only kind of guy. And just like you said, Arnie, I'm very similar to your mindset with it. And we still had a conversation. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And then you talk to somebody like David Paulides, which, he talks about the missing 411 and all this stuff. Like they're all there. We got a chance to meet two of our biggest heroes, Tony Merkel from the Confessionals a
yeah.
couple years ago, and that was really cool. And then we got a chance to meet Wes from Sasquatch Chronicles, and that was really cool. And then we met freaking Brent from Paranormal Portal. Now we're best
Yeah,
friends.
we're good friends with him.
And
now.
we're always
He's awesome.
we're always talking to him. So just go there, you'll see some cool people, and they're the same vicinity and same believing mindsets and different believing, but we're all in the same area, and it's awesome. So
Chris Bartell had seen a podcast I'd done, and reached out to me, and because of that, he introduced me to James Keenan,
yeah, that's awesome.
and we've got to be famous friends after that. And we've been up to some things you'll find out about
Hey,
shortly.
I'm excited to see where you're going with the Strange Basin podcast. I know you've just barely tapped into the video side of things when it comes to separating from the radio side. But we'd love to just plug anything that you want to plug with your show. Is there anything else you want to tell us about your show, about what's coming, and how can people find you?
Well, right now I'm just on all your podcasts with my first independent away from the radio station, and we're looking to bring in Chris Bartell here shortly, who was the security guard at the Skidwalker Ranch in Bigelow area. And also, the next up is the producer and the editor of the Blind Frog Ranch will be coming on, and we'll be talking about what's coming up in the next season. So, yes, everybody, there's a next season.
Hey,
I love
is
it.
that breaking news right now on our show?
That is. They have not announced it yet, but
Woo!
season episode 1 is done and up for final edit. So it's coming, everybody. So
Awesome.
Little insider information there for you. And if you stay in with Strange Basin, you'll be able to find out a lot about that and where that's going and the new direction that it's going because of certain events that have happened. So
how do people get in contact with you? Just on like Facebook, Instagram? What's your favorite source?
I do Facebook and TikTok. I stick to those two because that's a lot of work. And
You're right.
And strangebasin@mail.com is a good way to do it. Just mail, not Gmail. Strangebasin@mail.com.
How'd you finagle that, by the way? I want to drop the G too.
Right? Just drop the G. It's even better. Yeah. Yeah, and just reach out. I'm very available, and I love to talk to people and share experiences. While I focus 100% on the Uintah Basin, I love diving into other stuff as well. So I love it, getting stories and sharing them. So
nice. Well, we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be a part of the Supernatural Station podcast. The only train ticket to the unknown, and I appreciate that. Thank you. That's awesome. We'll have to have you on again because I feel like we just barely got done talking, and it's already like an hour and a half. So, I appreciate you, and like I said, maybe we'll get together soon before Phenomicon, after Phenomicon. There's Moonlight Gathering. There's so many places. That's the other beauty of Utah is there's like so much going on out here. If you want to find it. If you want to find the magic, it's here. So just hit us up, hit him up. And we'll all get together. It'll be fun. So
I'm working on a little thing out at Strawberry Pinnacles. So I will send you the first invite to that.
Roman, send him that article with the alien.
Oh, yeah, I'll send you that article for sure.
The lizard person.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
We appreciate you being a part of it, and we'll let you know when it's done.
All right. Stay strange.
All right.
See ya.
Have a good one, bro. We'll see ya.